Hi everybody, welcome back to Tidalwave Afterwork, the podcast where we answer your questions. My name is Patrick Damiani, this is my good friend Marc Maurer.
Hey guys.
And I would say let's dive into the first question right away.
Okay, let's go. The first question is from Max Weber, and Max wants to know...
Hi Max.
Can you recommend a good vocal microphone?
Okay, what do you think? Do you have a good vocal microphone for Max?
Honestly, for me, I can't really recommend a specific microphone. For me, it's just so much other stuff around the recording is more important to me. So for whatever vocal microphone you have in front of a good singer and good music and good lyrics is a good vocal microphone. That's the non-technical answer, but that's what I would go with.
Okay. I would say if you ask me for a good vocal microphone, I would say there is no such thing as a vocal microphone. There are microphones. Choose one that fits your voice and go with it. There is no wrong choice. It's an artistic choice. It's like, what is a good color for a house? There is no answer. There is no color for a house. There are colors and some fit the shape of your house and others don't. So, and it's the same thing with microphones.
Good point.
I hope that helps. Or not, or maybe yes.
Thanks, Max.
Thanks, Max. We have another question.
We have. The question is from Philip Breuer. Hi, Philip.
Hi, Philip.
Philip wants to know, based upon your experience, is there a musical genre which is the most challenging, A, to record in a studio situation, or B, to mix? So maybe you want to cover the A part first. So record. Is there a genre?
Okay.
That's very challenging.
Not really. Not really. Maybe there are different, for every genre, different situations that make a recording challenging. For example, some instruments are difficult to record.
Yeah.
Or more challenging to record than others.
Yeah.
For example, recording drums is rather a more challenging
that's
instrument to record.
the obvious one. I mean, the thing is just it's different circumstances, because with drums, you probably have a lot more microphones going on than recording maybe a guitar or a vocal. So you get more trouble with phase issues. You have to edit. You have to watch more closely while you're recording, because there's more things to go wrong, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, drums would be that kind of thing, I would say. Not really a genre.
Yeah, and the same, let's say it hits in the same direction. Drums is tricky because you have a lot of microphones capturing close parts of an instrument, but it's more or less the same as if you record a whole band in a room.
Yeah.
And you have bleed from one instrument into another. Let's say you have drums bleeding into a guitar microphone and guitar microphone or guitar playing bleeding into a vocal microphone. Yeah. So bleed or cross feed from one source into another microphone can be your worst enemy, but it can also be your friend. It can blend nicely together and it gives a lively feeling, but you really have to be careful that you still have control over the individual elements. Yes. And don't have too many phase issues. So this is for drums, and for a lot of microphones in a small space, this is maybe challenging, but it's not genre dependent. It's more
How many microphones?
How many microphones? This is a challenging thing.
Yeah.
What about mixing? What would you consider a challenging genre to mix?
It's kind of the same thing that I don't really think about genre, but I would say it also depends on the circumstances what you're mixing in terms of arrangement and composition is a big part. Like a lot of times I run into this problem, and you know it. I know that you know it. It's
I know that
you want a chorus to really have impact in a song, but there's just nothing there, or the verse is too big. So in that sense,
this is a drama problem where you need to create a dynamic drama over a song, but you don't have the source to get that. The other thing is, if you just have an arrangement where everything overlaps. For example, I've had stuff where there is an electric bass and there is an upright bass concert, also like an orchestral upright bass, and there is an organ, and maybe there's a tuba playing,
and a sub bass, and
So and then you have like everything is stacking up, and you really need to carve out instruments, or you just need to edit stuff. You need to cut out and mute tracks in order to just get going somewhere. Sometimes 50% of my mixing time is editing.
Yeah.
So this is what's challenging. Let's say a challenging mix is one where you just can't put up faders and think, yeah, okay, I get an idea, and now let's put the topping on top of it.
Yeah.
It's where you put everything up and it's like, okay, this is messy. I need to roll up the sleeves and do some heavy editing and muting and stuff. This is challenging, but it's again not genre dependent, but it's more like arrangement depending. The other opposite would be instead of having a really full and dense mix where it's too much, is what can be challenging is if you have like a very reduced arrangement. It's like one guitar and one vocal, but you need it to sound like huge, because every reverb or delay or everything, it gets immediately very obvious. There is nothing to hide it behind. So there it's challenging to, if you want it to sound natural, for example, that you really choose effects and every treatment very that you put very tasty elements in that don't stink like I'm cheap reverb.
Yeah.
Hey, I found reverb.
Yeah. I'm an effect. I am not an instrument. It's like the whole mix is just like reverb with a little bit of instrumentation in
this
there.
This is challenging to create an atmosphere in a very sparse arrangement.
Yeah, and you still want it to feel rich and big in a way, but there's so much void that you have to fill with something that makes sense, that doesn't sound artificial, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is basically it. Too much or too little can be challenging.
Yes.
That's it. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. Thank
Philip.
you. Welcome back. We have another question from Michele Zappone.
Michele.
Hey, what's up? Michele wants to know, how can I reduce sibilance? How can I reduce sibilance when recording or mixing vocals?
Okay, there are many different aspects. Let's start at the source, maybe choosing a microphone that will sound nice with your voice.
Yes.
It's a little bit like, what's a good vocal microphone? It's one maybe also that doesn't exaggerate your S's and your T's. Then there is orientation of the microphone.
There's the singer himself.
There is technique.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a good one to give a practical example and make a little setup and show differences.
Let's do it.
I think we will come back in just a second and show you some not only theoretical response, but something practical.
Let's go.
Just 1 second.
So now we're in the live room here. Patrick built up this little setup here. So it obviously starts the whole sibilance thing with the microphone technique. So I want to demonstrate this by showing you the difference between being on axis with the microphone or being a little bit off axis with the microphone. Just to give you an example. 77, 77, 77, 77. I hope you can hear the difference there. And other than that, the next thing is also the singer or the performer has just to be mindful about his airflow and how much power he brings into the consonants, the sibilants. So I'll give you a little demo of that. I try to really exaggerate now how it would be in a very bad way. So let's try this. 77 fried chicken. Now let's do this with a little bit less exaggerated sibilants. 77 fried chicken. So as you can see, when I'm exaggerating the sibilants, the T's and all that kind of stuff, a T becomes a T and a K becomes a K. So that's the problematic stuff. But if you're left with a recording where the sibilance is really like out of control, now Patrick will show you what you can do about it in the mix.
Okay, now let's assume that mic choice, mic positioning, and mic technique didn't work out as planned, and we are stuck with 77 bad S's. Let's see how we can get rid of them. Let's first listen to a clip of Marc with evil, itchy S's.
77.
Okay, the first obvious thing would be to use a de-esser plugin. Let's see what that can do. So you choose a frequency range where the S's are most prominent, and then you try to reduce them. Let's see how that works without and with.
77.
With.
77.
You see that they are reduced and you can really get rid of them quite well.
77.
Okay, but sometimes the de-esser doesn't capture all the S's, or some get ducked too much. And what you always can do is work manually on S's. Like this. You take a S
7.
and you can just reduce the volume by using clip gain.
77. 77. 77.
That's already much better.
77.
Instead of
77.
Okay, another thing that you can do, sometimes you have an S with an annoying whistling in it. I for example, have an S like this. Marc's S is pretty soft, but let's assume that you have like a frequency range that is whistling in an S or something like this. What you can use is spectral editing. Let me show you what that looks like. So here you can see the S's, like the high frequency, and here is also like a little bit more whistling part in the S. Let's go in there and reduce this a little bit, and then we reduce the overall S a little bit. The same on this one and here, and we reduce the whole thing, send that back, render it. You can already see in the waveform that it's gotten lower. Now let's see what it sounds like.
77. 70.
Instead of
77.
So these are the different ways to get rid of S's, and if everything is done well, it should sound like this.
77 fried chicken.
Hope that helped. Okay, so now you know that there are approximately 77 solutions to
fix your sibilance.
Yeah. I hope that helps, Michele. Thank you.
Thanks. And we have another question from Gerrit Oertgen.
Gerrit.
Hi, Gerrit. It's a little bit longer one. The question is, hey guys. Hey
guy.
Thanks for this great start of the music production podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a question. I'd be interested to hear what you both think about it. I've realized over the years that there is a danger of overlapping sounds. Danger of overlapping sounds between the bass line and the drums, or sometimes the guitars. I know it certainly depends on the type of music you're making, but is there a trick to making sure the sounds don't overlap at all?
Don't overlap at all.
Wow, okay.
So, let's try to figure out what the problem may be.
Yeah.
Really, maybe. So let's start with, what was it? Drums and bass line. So there is, you hear this question often, is like, how do I get a fat bass drum but also have a fat bass? And I think from experience, more often than not, timing is the problem. For example, you have your bass drum, it sounds nice and fat. You have your bass in solo, they sound nice and fat, and then you add them both together and then the bass drum is gone.
Yes.
More often than not is like the bassist is rushing, and if they share the same frequency range, so let's say bass drum, the fundamental is around 50, 60, something like this, and an E on the bass is 40 hertz.
Yeah.
So, and this is the lowest on a standard bass, and so the fundamental notes are on the same space. But if you separate them time-wise, if you imagine, like, if you zoom into a waveform of a bass drum, you have like a big waveform from the hit, and if you keep this alone and let the bass start right when the big initial transient of the bass drum is gone, the bass can be completely full without eating away the bass drum. If the bass is before the bass drum, then you have like this not so punchy initial bass sound, and it is just masking. It is masking the bass drum. So you have like, it's really fat, the drum, and as soon as you put the bass, it's boom, wah, boom, wah.
Yeah, it's weaker, even though it's more stuff there, but it sounds weaker than maybe the kick drum by itself.
It's just masking. It's masking the initial attack, and that's the problem. If it's timing wise fine, then both can be fat and coexist, and it's fine.
Yes.
So now what was it then? Going into the guitars, if it's
the bass line and the drums, or sometimes the guitars.
He feels that it's a problem if, or I don't know if he knows if it's a problem or not. If bass and guitars overlap, and how do you get them separated? How do you get them separated? Do you want them to be separated?
That's the point. That's what I'm thinking all the time. It's like if, for example, the guitars and the bass don't overlap in a nice way, obviously, the same way as you talked about the kick drum and the bass, it just has to work, and you have to make it work maybe. But if they don't overlap, because they just do normally, the guitars will sound weaker, or the impact is less noticeable when you have like a chord together with a big drum hit or something. So I would say they should overlap.
They should be like gears, like gear wheels that work together. It's most of the time when you record a guitar, you start with a sound check with a guitar, and then it's like the huge sound, like
best sound in the world.
A lot of proximity effect. So you go close to the source, so you have a little bass build up, and it sounds huge on its own, and you think you need that much low end. But then you get a problem with if you leave a guitar this huge in the bottom and then you add the bass, and it's like, but now I have trouble getting the bass in front. So this little bit of separation would be okay, but it's not separation. It's more like don't blow up the guitar too much. Leave a little bit of space for the low octave of the bass to exist. But they have to have an overlap. It's like they blend nicely together. You get like a big guitar with a lot of bottom end. The guitar will sound thicker if the bass overlaps into the guitar. But I think it's like rolling off the guitar slightly so that they are not boomy. Because this is the space that the bass occupies best. But if the bass is only like sub frequency, like whoop, 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 then it just doesn't merge well with the rest. So you need some mid-range in the bass also for it to be audible on a small speaker. Like 800, 900 hertz is if you crank that on the bass, it just pops out of the mix. And even if you listen on an iPhone speaker, you will still hear the bass. So you need overlap. But maybe not that subby overlap. Maybe this is the problem more than anything else.
I think you should also just think about the octave relation in every instrument. So also maybe it's a little bit of a composition or just arrangement thing, wherever your guitars live, wherever you're playing, how your guitar is tuned. And then, maybe if you record a band or if you record yourself, you could try and analyze, okay, the guitar is playing this part. Should I use this or this octave with the bass?
Yes.
Because this will make a lot of all that stuff happen naturally, because it will always overlap a little bit, but you won't have too much energy in the same frequency range.
For example, if you play an E on the guitar, a low E, and you would play the first octave E on the bass, then they are in the same octave, and they may overlap, and it's like not just as fat as if you would play the low E.
Exactly.
Then, of course, if let's suppose the bass plays open E string and the guitar plays a chord there as well, maybe it could be a good idea to carve a little bit out of the bass so you leave space for the fundamental of the guitar. That may help, but not cut completely, not separate, just maybe carve out a little bit of space. But normally you can leave them full range and they coexist and it's fine.
I think maybe the real answer is there is not really danger.
No.
It's fine that those things overlap, and there's not really a trick in that sense.
No.
I mean, there's no tricks to anything anyways, but Yeah.
Let's say a very last thing is that often amateur mixes sound thin because it's like, there is too much here and there. And then it's like thinning out guitars, thinning out bass. And in the end, everything is thin. Be courageous and leave a lot of low end and low mid range, because this is the meat of the music, and overlap is fine. Go for it.
Yeah. Thanks, Gerrit.
Thanks, Gerrit. We are ready for the final question of this episode.
Yes.
And it is from
Marius Ehrmann.
Marius.
Hey. Do melodies or songs follow into your sleep or dreams if you work too long on a song?
Oh, yes.
What?
Yes, all the time. It's usually the last song that has been worked on. It's just like engraved in my brain.
Yeah.
I see myself sometimes, or I realize after having done it, it's like humming along with just the melody, the hook line or something. And usually I would say it's a good sign. That means that the song is catchy.
Yeah.
And that there is something that sticks to your mind. If it's not that way, if you don't have like this earworm thing, then maybe it's a sign that the song is not so catchy.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if it's just like a little tiny thing about it, because I always have it when I'm like, whatever, brushing my teeth or something. That kind of thing. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, oh my God, it's the song I worked on today.
It's like 77 fried chicken. This is going to stuck in.
This is going to
stuck in your
hunt
brains.
my dreams for a few weeks now, probably.
Maybe we should play this in a loop now for a while and see if some viewers will have this stuck into their head.
I would just put it on my earbuds tonight, and be like meditating.
But I've even dreamt about songs that I woke up and it's like, oh no, it's really haunting me into
It's still
sleep.
there.
It's still there. Get out of my brain.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it happens, and I think it's a good sign.
Yes,
That's okay.
It's fun.
It's
we
fun.
have a great job, so
Yeah,
it's good times.
great job.
Great job.
Great questions. We had fun. I hope you also had fun. Please send in your questions if you have some. We would happily answer them. And hopefully see you next episode. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss upcoming episodes. And give us a like and a comment and a question, and we will be happy.
Yes. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.